This project's on the San Bernardino, California shooting case, December 2nd, 2015, and the fallout that ensued afterwards. On December 2nd, 2015, 14 people were killed and 22 others were seriously injured in a terrorist attack consisting of a mass shooting and an attempted bombing at the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino, California. The perpetrators, Syed Rizwan Farouk and Tashfeen Malik, a married couple living in the city of Redlands, targeted a San Bernardino County Department of Public Health training event at a Christmas party of about 80 employees in a rented banquet room. Farouk was a U.S.-born citizen of Pakistani descent who worked as a health department employee. Malik was a Pakistani-born, lawful permanent resident of the United States. After the shooting, the couple fled in a rented sport utility vehicle. 4 hours later, police pursued the vehicle and killed them in a shootout.
Basically box a person.
This was a horrible terrorist attack that resulted in the death and injury of many ordinary citizens. With that being said, the investigation that would ensue after would open up a whole new can of worms, especially in regard to privacy and the lengths the government is allowed to go to obtain information for their investigation. Investigators in the FBI wanted access to the killer's Apple iPhone 5, but they were not able to because of a security feature designed by Apple. If they guessed the passcode incorrectly more than 10 times, the phone's data was programmed to erase. The authorities had reason to believe that there was useful information for their investigation inside Farouk's phone, so how would they get in? The battle to decrypt Farouk's iPhone led to the revival for the creation of an exceptional access system, which is also known as a backdoor device. The implementation of an exceptional access golden key would provide the FBI with the technological tools and the legal authority to access any suspect electronic device if there is reasonable doubt that evidence can be obtained from decrypting the iPhone.
While the FBI prides itself in fidelity, bravery, and integrity, Apple is well known for their airtight security and protecting the privacy of its users. Tim Cook made an immediate appeal to the public and the users, letting them know that their information was safe and no one should fear that the FBI's demand would undermine our freedom and liberties granted by our government. The stance the now former FBI Director Comey took was that it was about the victims and justice. 14 people were slaughtered and many more had their lives and bodies ruined. He said, "We owe them a thorough and professional investigation. Under law, the American people should expect nothing less from the FBI. Restricting the FBI from gaining access for the data stored in Syed Rizwan Farouk's iPhone is an obstruction of justice, and Apple's position undermines our national security." When we die, do our rights die with us? Do we really lose everything our government has worked so hard and our amendment rights that we were granted by our forefathers?
So just because a terrorist is dead, does that mean that we have access to all his private information? Setting a bad precedent, that's what Apple will say. The user of the product is also a main player in this issue. Without the consumer, in this case the iPhone user, Apple does not thrive. The product that they produce isn't relevant unless the consumer buys and uses the product. The user of the product is precisely who Apple must look out for if they'd like to maintain the business relationship they currently have with them and the rest of the world. If an iPhone owner feels that Apple will not protect their information, perhaps they'll look to another company when the time comes to replace their smartphone. The user of the product has a great deal of stake in this issue, mainly because it's ultimately their personal information that the debate is over. Do they have an expectation of privacy, whether their actions are legal or illegal?
Following the shootout, the FBI issued a search warrant on the couple's SUV. Inside the vehicle, agents were able to locate a government-issued iPhone 5C provided by San Bernardino Department of Public Health, Farouk's employer. Apple has previously assisted law enforcement and government entities in more than 70 cases. However, recent downloadable software rendered a new obstacle. The voluntary software download, in which Farouk opted to do, enhanced privacy to the user, preventing unwanted access on the phone. If the passcode was entered incorrectly 10 times, all pertinent information of the user would be deleted. Apple declared that for the safety of all users, a backdoor software did not exist and would be detrimental to future privacy laws. Without the help of the famed tech company, investigators reached out to computer hackers to bypass the enhanced security measure. These efforts proved to be futile. Due to the adolescence of technology-based law, limited precedents have been enacted into common law. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, led by Director James Comey, urged the federal courts to utilize the government's All Writs Act as a national security measure. This act, dating back to the days of George Washington, grants the government the ability to demand assistance from individuals or entities. The All Writs Act was previously imposed in 1977 on cell phone companies, requiring all cell phone providers to be able to geographically locate their customers' phones. The All Writs Act can be used under 4 conditions: the absence of alternative remedies, an independent basis for jurisdiction, necessary or appropriate aid in jurisdiction, and usages and principles of law.
Federal judges agreed to invoke the act, bending Apple's arm to create a backdoor software at the company's expense. Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, reacted to the ruling by publicly announcing his refusal to perform this task, stating that such software would set a dangerous legal precedent for user privacy in the future, which we already knew. This goes without mentioning the resources that Apple would have to invoke. In both employee manpower, it's going to take a long time to do this, as well as the millions of dollars they estimated that it would cost. You have to pay these people. After months of legal battles between the government and Silicon Valley, the FBI postponed court hearings and eventually dropped the case. The United States government presumably coordinated with Celebrite, which is an Israeli tech firm, to enter Farouk's phone. Sure enough, it worked.
So what is Celebrite, you might ask? Let's consult with the experts.
Now.
Celebrite is the standard in digital forensics when it comes to mobile forensics. Celebrite sells their equipment to law enforcement organizations around the world. They have a variety of standards. They're able to break through almost any mobile device at this point, other than the iPhone 6 or 5C. And Celebrite is really, ahead of just about everybody else in the market. They might be going about this in different ways. Celebrite might be using a software solution, which is what Celebrite normally uses. And their software solution could be as simple as creating the operating system for the FBI that the FBI asked Apple to create in the first place. Or they may be going to a hardware solution, such as the focused ion beam, which is the NAND cell, the NAND copying. So it's hard to tell what Celebrite could or would be doing because there are a lot of methods that would work. We've known there have been methods that would work to get into this phone for weeks now, and Celebrite has a whole bunch of different options.
Upon entering the phone, no substantial evidence was found by the government. After so much back and forth, and the government insisting that there was in fact useful information in there, how about that? In the end, Apple held its ground defending civil liberties and what they believed was a fundamental right to privacy for not only the company, but its millions of users throughout the entire world. When you take a step back and look at the whole situation in retrospect, had Apple succumbed to the force of the United States government, an extraordinary precedent could have, and likely would have, shaped the future of an ever-evolving industry. An industry that is sure to become the focus of newly formed laws. An opinion our group holds that motivated us to research this particular topic is that it is not too often that a company, no matter how much they're worth, big or small, are able to stand up for themselves against a strong federal government. A government that can often come across in a bullying manner, hiding behind the guise of national security. If there's one thing we can agree on as citizens of the United States, it is that we value safety and the ability of our government to offer protection for us to pursue life, liberty, and happiness.
In providing this, it is important that we protect boundaries of privacy, and this should be held in extremely high regard.
We hope that this is more than just a podcast that acts as an advertisement for Apple products, because their privacy is top notch, but rather one that paints a picture that although technology is evolving all around us and our information is out there, there are those who will take a stand and defend this. After all, former director of the FBI James Comey advises us to put tape over the camera lens on our computers as he does, so who knows where this course will take us. Thanks for your time.